Today, I think we can reflect on the judgment card and our challenges with seeing the good, beautiful, and true, which is often filtered through our enneagram fixation. As we aim to return to Eden, heaven, sphere one on the tree of life, this non-dual state, we may see that we're judging a lack of goodness, beauty, or truth in ourselves or in the world. If it's a lack of goodness, we may feel that in our gut. Our gut instinct is something is not good here with me or with the external world. That can come at the birth moment when you leave the womb. If we are judging a lack of beauty, that can have to do with losing the adult gaze, the positive adult gaze, and trying to get that image to be seen as well by others. And if we are judging a lack of truth, it could be we're finding so many paradoxes and contradictions and unsure how to orient ourselves towards others and ideologies. But we can be reborn, at least if we trust this card, by considering the 20th letter, 20th card, Resh, judgment, that in one system links sphere 6 and 9, balance and imagination. Another system links 8 and 9, which is conformity, the group, and imagination. And so that idea of positive adaptive child for sphere 8 and balance for sphere 6, both of these are saying, let us see how we can set aside judgment, good and bad. And like the parable of the wheat and the tares, it's not our job to figure out what the weeds are. We save that for the harvest. The harvest being the return, being the autumn, being the return to the bardo, the judgment day. We hand it over for that. And if we think that we're going to be judged poorly by some kind of divine force, and probably if we had parents who were judgmental, conditionally loving, then we will. We have to consider that a higher being is unified with us and therefore not going to judge us. Resh means head, leader, beginning. The mask is the conscious mind, the shadow is the unconscious. If we're conscious of anger and desire, I submit to you that we're probably suppressing fear in order to have that anger and desire fueled. The Rajasic energy is ascending and the Tamasic energy is being pushed away. If we have Sattvic energy, state of peace and presence, then there's not anger, desire, or fear, or if there is, it's not sticking. It's not seen as truth. If we have fear in our conscious mind, then the anger and desire is being suppressed. So if the tamasic energy is what we're conscious of, then the rajasic energy is being suppressed. If we find it hard to see positive self-attributes, things that are positive about ourselves, then we're suppressing the positive self-attributes. If it's hard to own up to our negative self-attributes or flaws or mistakes, then we are afraid of what that means. So, Enneagram, there are 3 types: anger, shame, and fear. Anger at birth, there is the theory is that you're overwhelmed with the sensations, and you just have this desire to feel good and to see things as good. And in the gut, if we're not having that, then we are going to get angry in order to try to address the disappointment, the sadness that things don't feel good, and the fear. It's all underneath, but in the conscious mind, there's anger. And then the second stage of development is when we do or don't get the positive gaze, typically from the mother, and that can lead to shame, and that's why they're called the heart types. They need to be seen as beautiful, and then once they get that gaze, everything will be okay. With the anger types, as soon as they feel good, in the gut, if the hunger is satisfied, or the purity is realized, or the chaos and sandpaper is removed, then the anger will go away. So they're directed towards removing that anger. And the image types are directed towards removing the shame by being seen as beautiful. Third has to do with object permanence. The theory is where things are, knowing your map of reality, both physically and also conceptually. And that's a desire to know what is true. And in this, there's often a distrust of the emotions. That if we're angry, then we want to suppress that and be afraid. If we're afraid, we want to suppress that and be angry. If we are soliciting the approval of others, then we will turn on that and reject them, or try to flee them, or try to conquer them. And so the challenge for the head types is that the mind is working against itself. On the left side of this chart, we have the tree of life. My theory is that in the state of unity, before ejection from Eden, if you want to say, or before being born, or non-duality, even in the womb, there's no distinction between the good, beautiful, and true. It's all one thing because you have all three of them. It's only by losing the feeling that things are good, or the feeling that you are beautiful, or the knowledge of what is true, or the acceptance of lack of not knowing. It's only by doing that that these three groups can be created, and then we have 9 personality types coming from that. So we can say that's sphere 2, that's a creative act of losing our awareness of the good, beautiful, and true, so that there can be these 9 different personality types. Whether it's good to have these 9 different personality types, or enneagram fixations, or strategies to get love, is a good thing or not, I can't say, but it is a creative act to take the formlessness where everything is good, beautiful, and true, and create forms that are not seeing that. And I think each enneagram type is fixated on whether they want to see the good, the beautiful, or the true, which one is most important to them, and then what of the 3 strategies are they going to use to address that. Fear comes when you don't know what's true. The other types may know what's true, or believe they know what's true, and then they will have less fear. If you need to see and feel good, you may not be that interested in truth. You just want to have a set of beliefs that you can embrace, and so therefore you can hide behind them or live inside of them. And if you don't feel beautiful, if you don't feel appreciated for what you're putting out in the world, then you can get afraid and angry. So with understanding, we're simply saying, okay, look, there was a split. We lost the good, beautiful, and true. We fixated on one good, or one beautiful, or one true as being most important, and we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out what is good, or if we are good, if we are beautiful, how to be beautiful, and what is true. And if we're fixated on what is true, we may lead to the conclusion that we are not worthy, and then suppress the parts of us that say that we are, or that it's not about worthiness. Because we're so focused on what is true that we lose sight of paradox and subtleties and subjectivity being subjective. Now, as we go down the tree, we get closer to the realm of space and time, we have contraction and boundaries on the left, and purpose and expansion on the right. And typically what we do with a lot of these enneagram fixations, if not all of them, is we go into contraction. I'd say the enneagram type 3 is really focused on purpose and expansion. Enneagram 4 is kind of using the contraction as a way to expand. In other words, by making their victim story or their unique suffering into art. And I think the 5s are focusing on expanding themselves through knowledge. But a lot of the other types are really focusing on contraction and boundaries, either setting them or feeling oppressed by them, or both. And so the balance, the sphere 6 in the center, you can think of it as the center where these 3 dotted lines on the chart connect. Like if we can just see that we are really focused on thinking and needing to know what's true, and then expand our view to say, well, I may not ever know what's true, but is there something good? Is there something good here? Is this thought helpful to me? Is it helpful to let it go? What is good? And can I be beautiful outside of the normal conditional framework? Can I simply see myself as beautiful? So it's being your own ideal parent. And the other types can do the same thing. And then as we go down and we're influencing the imagination, we have conformity on one side from that limits and contractions and boundaries of sphere 5, and we have individual will from purpose and expansion. And so if we're a head type and we're focused on fear, we're going to probably vacillate between the desire to conform because we fear the power of others and then trying to rebel in some way. We may end up being very negative or vacillating between loyalty and disloyalty, the 6 particularly, Enneagram 6. But the other Enneagram types are equally vacillating between the desire to conform and the desired individual will. And often you go to your descended type, your descended Enneagram type, when you want to have your individual will, and you can go to your positive Enneagram type with a positive adaptive child's conformity. So you're not conforming out of fear, or you're not conforming out of a desire to be seen as beautiful or a desire to think of yourself as good. You're conforming simply because that brings more peace. And these are what influence the imagination and then what's manifested in the real world. So today we're going to choose a card that focuses on the thinking and fear and needing to know what's true. And the question is, how can I let go of this need to, well, we'll do all 3 segments. So in the area of fear, how can I let go of the need to know, to accept not knowing, to humbly accept not knowing, is what we call thank, and be okay with the fact that I just don't know if I'm in the right place. I don't know what other people are thinking. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for something. I don't know if I should have made a better choice. I simply hand it over with a big shrug. What card is going to foster that